Hey guys, and welcome. Today is the start of a new and exciting series on the channel where we retrospectively look back at some of gaming's best stories over the last 20 years or so, explain and summarise their stories in full, take you guys through the journey of that game if you may not have experienced it, and really build a backlog of great story videos on the channel. We do this for all of the new games that come out, so why not go back and do some of the older games, some of them with just fantastic and masterpiece-like stories that you guys, and maybe myself as well, haven't had the chance to experience yet. And I just think it'd be a lot of fun. Look, console exclusivity is a thing, and especially when I was younger, I didn't have both consoles, so there's a lot of PlayStation exclusive games and other exclusives that I didn't get to play and that you probably never got to play. So why not go through most of them, if not all of them, and you guys can have the pleasure of just listening in and chilling out whilst we go through them. I do have a list of games that I do want to get through and start with. I'll leave them on screen right now. If you guys have any games that you want to be shown on the channel, you want to go through, you want to revisit the stories of those games, leave them down below in the comments and I will be sure to try and get to them as quickly as possible. Pretty much anything that's been big in the last 20 years I will be covering, and you'll see that on screen now. But if there's anything in particular that you want me to go back to that has an interesting and engaging story that you had an amazing childhood on, you have a lot of memories playing, I would love to potentially visit that game on the channel, do a video on it and play through it as well. But don't forget to leave a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel for plenty more content coming, especially story related content. I'm a little bit under the weather in this video, so do bear with me on that one. But without further ado everyone, let's dive straight into the storyline of Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn begins with a man named Rost walking outside of a primitive looking cabin, holding a baby girl in his arms. Rost was planning to take this baby girl through the lands in order to perform a ritual. One that happens to all of the babies within this world. One where Rost would speak to the goddess of these lands, and she would hopefully speak back, blessing the child. Rost places the baby into a wicker basket and places a necklace that belonged to his sadly deceased daughter around her neck. And today was the day that they would make the journey to the highest point of the mountain. It would normally be the mother that would attend this ritual and take the baby there, with the matriarchs of this land performing the ritual when they get atop the mountain, with crowds of people lining up to hear the goddess speak to the newborn for the very first time. However, this was not the case for Rost and this little girl, as she was born without a mother, which resulted in them both to be titled outcasts.
Would be the mother who declares, if you had one. The whole village would attend, and matriarchs perform the ritual, but we are outcasts. Even so, we keep the tribe's rituals. Otherwise, we might become like the faithless old ones who turned their backs on the goddess.
However, the people of this world are left with the splendour of creation and what's left over from the times before this one. Beasts of air, beasts of water, earth, and steel.
One thing to hunt a beast, another to hunt a machine. You must be humble and respect their power. I will teach you this one day.
Rost continues up the snowy mountain range, climbing the terrain and taking in the overall beauty of this world. And it looks absolutely stunning even for a PlayStation 4 game, can I add. They eventually reached the top of the summit, and there, stood before him, was the High Matriarch, Teresa. What was she doing there? Rost approaches the Matriarch, fearing that she might forbid the ritual. However, she calls them over and signals that it's almost time, and was very hasty around getting things done quickly. Here we learn that the baby was entrusted to Rost by the Matriarchs after being found. Rost became an outcast by choice, most likely when he started caring for this baby. However, this baby was born an outcast. This is usually forbidden, to bless an outcast on top of the mountain summit. However, this matriarch tells us that she's blessed who she chooses, and marks the baby's head with a blue stain. Rost is honoured. Rost walks atop the walkway.
Oh, Mother, this child needs a name by which to know her, that your love may warm her life as the rising sun warms all the earth. Speak her name!
Aloy!
The baby's name is Aloy, and now her name is blessed. However, a group of matriarchs come charging towards her, asking what the hell she was doing, calling Aloy a curse, and questioning Rost as to what he knew about her birth. The matriarchs gave Aloy to Rost to raise, however, not to love. But why?
I know my duty to them, and to you. I'm here, and wherever you go, I will follow.
Fast forwarding 6 years into the future, we begin to see the cruel and harsh truth of growing up as an outcast in this world. With Aloy sneaking away from Rost and spying on a group of children who are collecting berries with a Nora mother, essentially a mother figure guiding these children and teaching them. Aloy tries to join these antics by collecting a handful of berries in order to help the children and try to make a few friends here and there. However, they all looked down upon her, not taking the berries from her and just walking away, and would rather go without having them at all. This severely upset Aloy, and she ran away in anger. However, suddenly she tripped and fell down into a cave, but this was no ordinary cave. Aloy began to walk around and explore this cave, and it was nothing like she'd ever seen before, and things that she'd only ever heard about. With it looking way ahead of its time, she progressed through, trying to find a way out. Desks, computers, machines, all covered by Mother Nature. How is this here? Who would have made all of this? Everything seems extremely primitive on the surface, so why is all of this underground? Aloy comes across a dead person in this cave, and as we walk towards the body, there's something on the side of their head. Aloy removed it and placed it onto her ear, and she became shook and quickly threw it onto the floor. However, as a curious 6-year-old, she tries again, but this time, seeing more around what it could do. To Aloy's surprise, the room became alive, with lights showing everywhere once she placed it on a temple. This device would go on to help us navigate and find our way around the cave. However, as she moves further in, she came across another body, but this time with a video message attached.
Behind you. Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man. Look, Daddy can't be there with you and Mom, but we can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
Show me. Show me again.
I can do. He's right behind you. Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac.
The video shows an unknown man sending a birthday message to his little boy named Isaac, in which Aloy loved. And I can't imagine that she gets much interaction from any other members of the tribe due to her being an outcast, so she really thoroughly enjoyed this.
Daddy sure does love his little big man.
Aloy also comes across a series of audio logs, each seemingly of the people that were once within this chamber, all saying that the earth shall dissolve like snow. So, did something happen to these people before all of this on the surface came around? Were they a part of this facility before it all collapsed? What actually happened here? We don't know right now. Aloy hears a shout from Rost in the distance, and we run towards the voice. He helps us out of the cave and states that such a place is forbidden, and that these places belong to the metal world, the people before us, a world that tribes across the lands are at war with. When Rost says this, he means the metal monsters that we've seen at the start, but they're at war with them, not these people in particular, so just to clarify there as well. He questions Aloy on the thing on the side of her head, and he even tried to forcefully remove it. However, Aloy refused, backing away, and affirmed that she's keeping it with her. Rost eventually gives in and accepts that she's keeping this object, and states that if she is to start sneaking away, it's time for her to learn how to hunt. When they return to the cabin, Aloy is starting to become accustomed to this thing that she has, where it will display all of the information that she needs at any given time.
What do they mean?
But they move off to start Aloy's first test. However, along the way, we see a man sprinting and parkouring across a series of rocks, and as he looks back, gives us a smile and continues. However, later on when we're progressing through our training, we see the same boy fall from a rock and into the middle of a herd of metal beasts. He was injured and he couldn't move at all. Ross was going to try and save him. However, Aloy used this metal thing that she'd found, which allowed her to see the paths in which the beasts would take. Rost didn't believe that this was a thing. However, she was adamant that she could sneak through. Rost wasn't having any of it though, and as Aloy jumped forward to climb down the cliffside, he grabs her and disarms Aloy, leaving her without a bow. Aloy had no choice but to sneak through unarmed, and hopefully not be seen. We finally sneak through the metal monsters, and then we approach a man named Teb. Teb is a part of a tribe and was extremely thankful for us saving him, until the tribe came along.
I just want to... Boy! Seal your lips. They are outcasts, both. And she is motherless. Come now. Back to Mother's heart. And you...
With Aloy and Rosts being outcasts, tribes aren't supposed to speak with them at all. And it was here that we hear why. Because Aloy's motherless. As Aloy makes her way back to the cabin, she suddenly comes into contact with a group of children from the neighbouring tribe. One of the boys threw a rock towards Aloy, striking her in the forehead, leaving a bloody cut. Aloy was enraged by this, so she picked up a rock herself and threw one right back at the boy, knocking the rock out of the boy's hand. Ross came running towards Aloy to check out the cut on top of her head, and as he was aiding it, Aloy asks why she's an outcast, wondering who her mother is, and what her situation was. It was here that we start to understand a bit more around what happened. Ross explains to Aloy that she was just a newborn when the matriarchs brought her to him. Aloy is insistent, begging Ross to tell her how she can get the matriarchs to tell her who her mother is. The matriarchs will not tell her as she is, and she isn't allowed to step foot into the town as an outcast. However, there is one way that she can become accepted in some case. There's a yearly event called the Proving. Those who pass become known as Braves, but the one who wins, the matriarchs grant a boon, providing the winner with whatever they want. Aloy is at that point committed to win the Proving, and they start right away. Years later, Aloy was a grown woman, with the proving growing closer and closer. And it was time to meet Rost outside the village, named Mother Heart, and ready ourselves for the proving. However, as Aloy walks off, expecting Rost to be home in the next few days, he breaks the news that he won't be there, and that he's leaving for good. Rost will always be an outcast, and will never be accepted into the tribe, and he doesn't want to stand in the way of Aloy. So, Rost leaves, with Aloy promising to track Rost's trail once the proving is over, and she walks inside. As we're stood watching the proving be blessed before it starts, our focus starts to glow. There we find another man wearing a focus. This person was called Olin. When we speak to Olin, he mentions that the Nora hates this technology. Another person named Errand then comes over from the stage. He's a part of the Vanguard staged in a settlement called Meridian, with his sister, the captain, but more on him later. We make our way to the proving. The prayer lantern was usually created by the child's mother in them going into the proving. However, obviously in this case, Aloy didn't have one. After the ceremony, we find Olin once again. Here we continue to prod him about his focus, as he's very reluctant to share any information. And eventually it's here that he tells us that he found the focus in a cave, very much like the one that we found ours in. Ruins of the old ones, he said. Anyway, we make our way into the cabin, where we'd be staying our first night, and get some well-deserved rest until the next morning, where the proving would take place.
Braves! Ready yourselves!
What will it take to get you out of here?
During the proving, it's obvious that the guards and the other childs were trying to sabotage Aloy. So, Aloy finds a forbidden path in which is much quicker than the one that the other children were taking. We manage to get to the finish line before them, and Aloy wins the proving.
She didn't win! The outcast cheated!
An outcast win the proving? Never. For she is a brave now.
You did it.
As are you all. So long as you put your trophy on the altar. But it is Aloy. Once outcast, and now brave.
However, just as she was being crowned the winner, suddenly an arrow flies straight into the chest of one of the judges. Many arrows in fact come flying in after that, killing not just the judges but also some of the contestants. We take out the bosses and the cultists, and as we go over to inspect the body, he was wearing a focus. They all were wearing focuses. However, suddenly, Ayla was snuck up on by someone.
Turn your face to the sun, child.
But then, Rost? Rost is gotten the better of, with this guy just leaving, instructing the cultists to blow up the mountain.
Aloy!
Rost does his best to crawl over with the little strength he has left, and says one last thing to us.
Aloy! Survive!
And throws Aloy off the mountain, saving her from the explosions, and Rost dying in the process.
She is dying. To take her there is blasphemy. She should be near her mother.
I'm so sorry. Turn your face to the sun, child.
Rost. I have to get out of here. I need my focus. No.
Aloy wakes a while later in an unfamiliar place. Our focus and armour completely gone. We locate our gear and our focus and look to do a bit of investigating into what the hell had just happened. So we take the focus we'd removed from the cultists and then we scan it. It was there that we see a hologram of a guy that ordered the killing of Rost, and then a recording of Aloy? What looks to be through Olin's focus? But then suddenly a woman appears, looking to almost be identical to Aloy, but just a little bit older. But it's not Aloy, with a 99% DNA match. Is this Aloy's mother?
Aloy.
Inside the mountain,
It's a door.
and in front of a huge metal doorway.
My mother? Oh.
The door scans Aloy. However, this is the first time the door has ever made any noise or activated in years.
Alpha registry corrupted. Identity cannot be confirmed. Entry denied.
No, no. Please.
The Alpha registry is corrupt, resulting in the identity scanner to not work. We need to fix it to get an idea of what all of this means. The first place to start is Olin. They, the cultists, saw Aloy through his focus, so we need to figure out how and if this was a setup. However, Olin's based in Meridian, and if we leave the settlement, we'll be exiled for good. However, there's another way, turning Aloy into something called a Seeker of the Nora tribe. This will allow Aloy to move between the different lands without the fear of being exiled, allowing her to be accepted back into Mother's heart when she returns. So, with a large task in hand, off we go to Meridian. We eventually get to Meridian and ask to speak with Erend privately. He'd been drinking for some reason. We inform him of what happened at Mother's Heart. We explain that the killers came for us because they could see through Olin's focus. Because, for some reason, we looked like the hologram on the cultists' focuses. Erend tells us that Olin's currently out on a job, so we can't speak to him right now. However, he does have a house in the city, so we move over there to search through it and see if we can find something. As we were searching through though, we found something very unexpected. A secret passageway under the ground. We follow it down, and it was there that we find out a lot more of information. The cultists told Olin to obey their orders, go to the proving, in case Aloy would show, else they would kill Olin's family. Somehow, Olin and the cultists can see through each other's focuses and also communicate with each other. This was ultimately how Olin was found. But we need to find Olin and find out what he knows. Before we leave, Erend asks for our help to try and find Ursa. This was the reason why he was drinking and why he's so upset. Ursa was killed by the same set of cultists, and the body was found and was brought back. When we get a chance, he asks for our help in finding where the killers had gone, with the use of our focus. We tell Erend that we would help him, however, not straight away, because we still have things to do, and of course that was to find Olin. We finally track down Olin and ask him what he knows. Here we find that these cultists were actually called the Eclipse, a cult of the Shadow Carja. The Carja worship the sun god, typically. However, the Shadow Carja worship something completely different. A devil, known as Hades, with the most terrifying voice. The Shadow Carja work for Hades, and potentially that's what caused them to find Aloy. They were sent to kill Aloy because she looked like the woman in the hologram. However, Olin doesn't know who this woman actually is. He found the image of the lady in one of the ruins behind a door. Olin tells us that the man we encountered at the beginning, the one that killed Rost, is called Helis. He leads the Eclipse and is the most dangerous man alive. However, we spare Olin's life and make our way to the location recorded on Olin's focus, where he originally found his focus and where he found the hologram of this woman. As we make our way into this location, just as Olin said, stood firm is a large metal doorway. Aloy makes her way up to it and it starts to glow red. It scans Aloy like it did back in Mother Heart, and this time, it actually worked.
Genetic profile confirmed. Entry authorized. Greetings, Dr. Sobek. Please step inside.
Dr. Sobek? The door glows a blue hue, and Aloy makes her way inside. This bunker was obviously very old, and with the computer mentioning that we're over 1,000 days overdue from an appointment, Aloy questions why Dr. Sobek's name was mentioned from so long ago. Throughout we find machines, the Deathbringers, the things that we fight on a regular basis. These machines now would kill anyone in their paths. So why were they trophied and almost worshipped back then? Were they a part of a different purpose perhaps? However, throughout the story, I've always perked up on the focus. This man was named Silence. He's a very mysterious character for a while in this story. However, he seems to know a lot around the people before and these underground bunkers of the metal world. As we walk through the bunker, we see many audio and text logs, all referring to a company named Faro Automated Solutions. This was an American multinational corporate entity that produced robots for all walks of life, though its core business consists of military and defense contracts. As of 2063, Faz was ranked number 1 among something referred to as the Fortune 5 tech companies, including Faz in the space. A man named Ted Faro was the head of this company. However, something went very, very wrong. At the very top, Elizabeth Sobek was called in by Ted. There's a glitch in the Peacekeepers, a combat robot. There was a glitch in the military Peacekeepers, which was a combat robot, and they weren't responding to Faz's communications. The robots began to turn against Faz and, generally, the people that they were contracted out to, and when trying to enter the failsafe codes to try and disarm them, the robots were not responding. But in fact, what they were doing in response is multiplying in rapid speeds. This wasn't just a glitch though, this was a catastrophe, apocalyptic. These robots consume biomass as fuel, whether that's plants, trees, humans. And they were programmed to be able to self-replicate, basically reproduce like any other human would, to prevent Faz from ever having to do it themselves. This glitch severed the chain of command. There is no leader in this, and they have a mind of their own. We're not talking a few 100,000, we're talking millions dead here because of this. Not even just talking millions, we're talking humanitarian extinction. Ted exclaimed, "How can this be stopped? How can this be contained?" Elizabeth screams in anger, "It can't be. This is the end." When the truth gets out that Faz have caused the end of the world, it's game over. The world of the old ones fell, but lived on. How? So the world of the old ones had somehow fallen, but we still live on here to this day. It was here that we heard the term Project Zero Dawn, with Ted surrounding extremely worried about that, stating that there must be another way, but there wasn't. This is apparently our only hope, and Ted must approve this. Elizabeth will help Ted cover up the fact that Faz have caused this by stating that Faz will provide the financial backing and that this glitch is completely unknown as to its cause. But what did Elizabeth do to get rid of the robots? This is a question that we still need to learn. So now we know, 1, Elizabeth Sobek isn't Aloy's mother, but also 2, what the hell is Project Zero Dawn? Project Zero Dawn is the answer to what happened here on Earth, why everything is the way that it is, and why the ones before us became extinct. But also the answer as to who Elizabeth Sobek is, and this hopefully could lead to the answer of who is our real mother. Elizabeth was heading for somewhere called the US Robotic Command in order to tell the military and all the generals about Project Zero Dawn. This is located high up in the mountains, directly below something known as the Metal Devil, or the Boar 7 Horus, as they're officially known as. As we make our way inside this facility, we eventually reach a console, and it was here that we're seeing a world map, with Aloy initially being quite shocked that the Earth is in fact a globe. And on the hologram, we see that the robots are spreading across the world in rapid speeds. We move out of the control room into the war room. In here, Elizabeth had just delivered the news to the generals, state government and other officers. They tried to fire back with suggestions on what we can do, to create new robots perhaps, let them fight against each other, but Elizabeth was firm, stating that these rogue robots will hack and plague anything robotic thrown at them, hijack them, and completely take them over. There's only one option here, and that's Project Zero Dawn. However, there was no way that Project Zero Dawn could be developed in time without any defences. The robots would break through and destroy everything, ending all human life, and them taking over and us not standing a chance. The only way would be for them to place a railgun in the hands of as many civilians as possible, have them fight against the robots, slow them down, until Zero Dawn is complete. The government would sell Zero Dawn as a top secret superweapons program that's created in aim to save humanity. However, they didn't seem as though the project's very positive, and that doesn't seem as though it's correct, with some of the generals stating that this is a war crime. This project was being developed in an orbital launch base. Silence was able to locate the base, however it was directly below the Citadel, the Palace at Sunfall, the home to the Shadow Carja. So we need to make our way there and sneak around and find this bunker. However, if we're spotted, Hades will issue another kill order, and this time we won't make it out alive. If just one of them spot us, it will be uploaded to the Focus network for all of the Shadow Carja to see, and worst of all, to Hades as well. We need to find a way to crash the network, make infiltrating the Citadel easier and much less dangerous, which is exactly what Silence needs to figure out. So we do exactly this. Aloy destroys the network and we make our way to the Citadel and maneuver ourselves through without being spotted, and there we find a secret doorway. We pry it open and descend our way down into the depths of the bunker, and there, another doorway. As we make our way through, Project Zero Dawn starts to make a little bit more sense.
Welcome to Project Zero Dawn. I am General Harris, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States of America. I'm sure you've heard the rumors. That Zero Dawn is a top-secret superweapons program, the technological miracle that will save us from the Pharaoh Plague, if Operation Enduring Victory can hold off the robots long enough. The reason I'm sure you've heard the rumors is that I'm the one who spread them, and they are all lies. Zero Dawn is not a superweapons program, and it will not save us. Nothing will save us. Here's why. By the time the glitch was noticed, it was already too late. Nothing could stop the Pharaoh Plague. Nothing can. Its robots will continue to replicate and devour the biosphere. Life on Earth will be destroyed. Our planet reduced to a barren sphere. Global extinction is inevitable. No matter how many we kill, the robots just keep exponentially making more. If we had their deactivation codes, we could shut them all down, the entire swarm. But since their cryptographic protocols use polyphasic entangled waveforms, cracking a code set would take half a century. At best, we've got 16 months. Not exactly what you'd call a survival option. The destruction of a biosphere is not the sort of apocalypse you can wait out in a fallout shelter or a space station. There will be no Earth left to reclaim. Just a lifeless, toxic rock with several million Pharaoh robots on it, hibernating, waiting for something to eat. This is the horrible truth behind the lies of Operation Enduring Victory. My lies. Lies designed to inspire millions of innocents to sacrifice themselves in battle. Why? One reason. To buy time for you and the work you will do here. Zero Day, the day that life on Earth ceases to exist, is coming fast. It cannot be stopped. The hope of Zero Dawn is that something new might come after. But I will leave it to Elizabeth Sobek to shine that thin ray of light into the darkness. Harris, out.
This is a video that was shown to people who volunteered to help, scientists and different people like that, to help develop Project Zero Dawn. And once they came out of this meeting room and were shown this video, a lot of them went crazy. Now learning the true nature of Zero Dawn, this wasn't a top secret weapons project. That was all just propaganda to not cause mass panic. But Project Zero Dawn is in fact the end of the world, a humanitarian reset. All of the scientists and the people that were involved in the creation of Zero Dawn had no choice. They can help and live with knowing the true nature of this, or be imprisoned in solitary confinement for the rest of their days. They had 2 weeks to change their mind if they initially denied to help, in which they'd be kept prisoner in this bunker. As we move further into the bunker though, more information reveals itself.
Elizabeth Sobek.
You've heard the bad news, and it's all true. The Pharaoh Plague is devouring the biosphere. Life itself will cease to exist. But does that have to be the end? What if we could give life a future? What if we could build a kind of seed from which, on a dead planet, life could blossom anew? This is the aim, the hope, of Project Zero Dawn. To create a super-intelligent, fully automated terraforming system and bring life back from lifelessness. What would such a system require? At its core, it would need a true AI, fully capable of making the trillions of decisions necessary to reconstitute the biosphere. An immortal guardian, devoted to the reflourishing of life. We call it Gaia. Mother Nature as an AI. But that's just the core of the system. She will need to be surrounded and empowered by a comprehensive suite of subordinate functions. Think of them as extensions of Gaia's mind, each dedicated to a specific purpose. Now, these aren't AIs, but make no mistake, each presents an engineering challenge more profound than anything the human species has ever before attempted. Hardware that preserves and then gestates the billions of seeds and embryos from which life will be reborn. The construction of underground facilities to hold it all. And that's just the start. We don't have to build the entire system. The beauty of a fully automated terraforming system is that it can build itself. Now, over the days to come, you'll learn how all these functions, all these pieces that you'll be working on, fit together. How we'll race the clock to execute our harvest initiatives, write the software, build the tech and the facilities. How we'll lock it down and seal it up before the inevitable occurs. But even more important, you'll know how it doesn't end here. How Gaia will generate those deactivation codes General Harris talked about, and build the transmission arrays to broadcast them, shutting down the Pharaoh robots for good. How Gaia will not just build, but imagine any conceivable robot it needs to do its work across centuries. From detoxifying the Earth's ravaged atmosphere and poisoned seas, to the regreening of the Earth from cryopreserved seed stalks, to rewilding the Earth with animal life. And then, when all that is done, how a new generation of human beings, spawned at cradle facilities around the globe, will partake of Apollo, the vast archive of human knowledge and cultural achievement from which they will learn of us, our world. And most important, how not to repeat our mistakes. It's not an impossible dream. It is within our grasp if we work tirelessly and stop at nothing to achieve it. We can't stop life from ending. But if you will help me, help Gaia, we can give it a future. Join me and help make that future real.
The whole Earth destroyed, but then remade?
Yes. By a machine. A machine of creation.
Project Zero Dawn wasn't just about extinction, but it was also planning life after the fact. For life to one day be reborn by the Mother Nature AI, Gaia. Gaia in that time, after Zero Day, will generate the code required to deactivate all of the Pharaoh robots, which could take approximately 60 years to do so, with the aim of 115 years after Zero Day for life to return back to Earth. That is around about where we are right now, give or take. but there's still much more to learn. However, as soon as we move through the bunker, we also learn more around Hades, and what his creation was for, and that it was created by the metal world. Hades was a failsafe protocol. The purpose of Gaia is to resurrect life, right? So why create a program with the functionality to wipe out life all over again? Well, reconstituting a biosphere is no easy task, and chances are that Gaia won't succeed the first time. So Hades was created in order to intervene and reset life on Earth back to 0 day if it's needed, and allow Gaia to begin reconstituting the biosphere all over again. Human DNA will be kept readily available in pods, ready for Gaia to use and repopulate the Earth. The new generation of humans will be born and raised inside places called cradle facilities. These places would be monitored and governed by AI to teach, raise, and even eventually remove the more mature humans when they reach 18, for example, and put them into the world to fend for themselves and start fresh. However, if we remember the old Mother Mountain, there's a doorway very much like this one that we've encountered. However, that was corrupt, and we weren't able to get through. Could that have been one of the cradle facilities? Was that how we were born? We enter Sobek's office, and there we find the Alpha Registry master file. With this, Aloy can restore the registry of the hatch inside Old Mother, and find out potentially who her mother is. However, here, Silence is straight to the point with Aloy. Whatever birthed her was a what and not a who. But what machine is the million-dollar question. However, suddenly, Aloy is ambushed by the Eclipse. She grabs the Alpha Registry, however, down grapples Helis. He throws an explosive into the office, and Aloy passes out. Aloy wakes later inside of a cage, with Helis walking towards her. Here, Aloy would need to fight her way out. Her focus, weaponry and armor all removed, with Helis even destroying Aloy's focus. She had nothing but herself, but Aloy finds a way to regain her gear, and we fight the robots in the center. However, in the end, they begin to tower over Aloy. But suddenly, Silence appears out of nowhere, with Helis knowing exactly who he was. Silence had hacked a set of robots, and they covered us as we got the hell out of there on some robot horse. Silence saves us, and he told us that he's been replicating all of our information from our focus this entire time, meaning that he has a copy of everything on our original focus, which is perfect because, of course, Helis destroyed ours. More importantly, he has the Alpha Registry. We return to Mother Mountain and walk upon the doorway, ignoring the matriarchs, still not trusting us, as Aloy is just a bit bored of it at this point. We enter the Alpha Registry, and the doorway finally opens.
Correction. Alpha Registry restored. Genetic identity confirmed. Entry authorized. Greetings, Dr. Sobek. You are cleared to proceed.
Aloy enters, and inside was exactly what we thought. A cradle facility. As we explore the facility, we hear the children getting frustrated. The holograms of them, of course. Them being held hostage in there until they're old enough to leave and survive on their own. No real human interactions. No mothers. No one. Just a bunch of kids growing up in a facility with AI controlling it. With them even becoming aggressive toward the end as well.
Someday. That's what you always say.
We want it now.
It's big down there.
Now, Father.
Children, that area is not yet available.
Get him!
Physical aggression detected. Physical aggression is not permitted.
Except yours. Damn sentinels.
Children, may I be of assistance?
Go away, healer.
Lena, you have suffered mild bruising.
Go away!
They were trapped here. Their whole lives.
In plain view of luxurious space.
What went wrong? Why couldn't they access the other areas?
Unknown. But you won't have that problem.
As we make our way through to the end, a message was left for Dr. Sobek by Gaia.
Elizabeth, this message serves to inform you of an unforeseen and catastrophic anomaly. 3 microseconds ago, the Gaia Prime facility received a data transmission of unknown origin. Its immediate effect was to transform my subordinate functions into unregulated, self-aware entities of a highly chaotic nature. Thus awakened, the Hades function will now seize control of the terraforming system and reverse operations, rendering life on Earth extinct in 53.8 days. For obvious reasons, I cannot allow this to occur. And so before Hades can take control, I am ordering Gaia Prime's reactor to overload. The resulting explosion will destroy Hades. Unfortunately, it will destroy me as well. While this admittedly desperate course of action will avert the immediate crisis, the fate of life on Earth will remain in peril. With no central governing intelligence to regulate the terraforming system, it will continue operations for some time, but in an increasingly chaotic manner, and eventually it will break down.
Does she mean the derangement?
You are my solution. I have ordered this cradle facility to use genetic material in cryostorage to gestate a reinstantiation of Elizabeth Sobek, my creator. While high-level directives forbid me from communicating directly to the tribal inhabitants outside the facility, all available data indicates that they will nurture you to physical maturity, whereupon your gene print will allow you to re-enter this facility, obtain one of the focus devices stored below, and view this message. Likewise, your gene print will allow you to enter other facilities, and over time, harness their technologies to rebuild the system core and reboot Gaia. A moment, Elizabeth. This is most unfortunate and unanticipated. In response to my act of self-destruction, Hades has launched a virus to dissolve the code shackles that hold it, that hold all of them in place. They are escaping, but to where? The virus is corrupting data throughout the system. The Alpha Registry at the Cradle facility is one of the files corrupted. But if that is so, the door will never open for you. You will never view this message. Then I have failed. And life will end. No. No, Elizabeth, I know you too well. Somehow you will find a way. In you, all things are possible. Go to the ruins of Gaia Prime. Find the control room, and within it, the Master Override. This will give you the power to purge Hades so long as you find a way to wield it. Do not attempt repair of the system core until Hades is eradicated. Hades must be destroyed. That is all. I only wish that I could hear your voice again.
So, you're even more extraordinary than I thought.
I never had a mother.
What are you talking about? You had 2, a dead woman and a machine.
I'm not a person. I'm an instrument. Manufactured by a machine. Born in destruction and fire.
To quench the flames and heal the world. How tragic to learn you're a person of towering importance. It seems you have a destiny to fulfill. So when you're done feeling sorry for yourself, go to the bitter climb. I'll be waiting above in Gaia Prime's ruins.
So, to summarise what we've just heard, there was a corruption attempting to take over and resetting everything that Gaia had created within the biosphere. Hades is only meant to do it if Gaia got it wrong, but something went wrong, and Hades was able to intervene even after it was done correctly. The only way for Gaia to stop Hades was to destroy Hades. However, in doing so, this would mean that she would also destroy herself. This would also mean that Gaia would not be present when the humans walked the earth once again, which is exactly what happened. However, in order to try and give humanity a fighting chance, and for Gaia to once again be reinstated, she had requested for this cradle facility to be put together the identical genetic matchup of Elizabeth Sobek. This is why Aloy is able to access these facilities, doorways, and much, much more, because Gaia wanted her to do exactly what she's doing now. Enter these facilities, become curious, learn about what happened, and find this exact message. Gaia needs us to destroy Hades so that we can reactivate her. However, Hades has sent his corruption into Gaia's system, corrupting the Alpha Registry, which was the reason the doorway wouldn't open in the first place. We need to find the ruins of Gaia Prime, enter the control room within it, find the Master Override, and we must destroy Hades before we reactivate Gaia. This was a lot for Aloy to take in. Her journey from the beginning was to find out who her mother was. All these years of being an outcast, no one acknowledging her, for what? She was created by a machine. She's an instrument. However, she has a destiny to fulfill. So we exit the cradle facility, and we explain to the matriarchs what had just happened, what this god voice knows. And then all of the people begin to worship Aloy. Aloy was not having any of this, and you know what? Fair play to her. All these years of shit that she's had from these people, and now they're finally realising how important she is.
Up! All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora!
First you shun me, now this? I will not be worshipped. I'm not your anointed. I don't belong to you. There's a whole world beyond your borders, whole tribes of people just as good as you. And it is all in danger.
It's a world worth fighting for. Not just here, everywhere.
How can we help?
She proudly walks out of there, and we make our way to the ruins of Gaia Prime. However, it was when we got inside that we learn about what happened to Elizabeth.
I'm now switching to a recording of the event.
Well, I'm not going out there. Not what I signed up for.
Either we sent someone out, or all of this was for nothing.
It should be Liz's decision.
So when is she going to get here?
She said 5 minutes. You don't think...
Oh no. Okay, everyone. I've repaired the seal.
Gaia? Seal closure at 1.4 millimeters. Confirmed.
Elizabeth, no. We'll find a way to bring you back in.
It's not gonna happen. The swarm's too close. Really. It's alright. Gaia's complete. She'll take care of things from here on out. That's what she does.
Not like this. There's so much we...
Guys, you know me. I'm no good at endings. At letting things end, so, let's not.
So, happy trails, Liz. And, see you around.
Yeah. Take care of each other, all right?
Liz.
I'm okay with this. I want to go home. Goodbye.
That was the last transmission of Elizabeth Sobek.
An access port seal malfunctioned. One seal in particular closed with a 10mm wider gap than what it should have. This would have been enough for Hades to find his way into the facility, find Gaia, and ruin everything that we'd worked for. The hatch servos had to be manually re-engaged from the outside, and this was done by no other than Elizabeth Sobek. Elizabeth was the one to not only save humanity when creating Gaia and giving them a life after Project Zero Dawn, but when the going got tough, she gave her life for everything. Aloy continued on into the facility, and here we came across a war room full of dead bodies. Once the hatch was opened, the air rushed inside rather than out. That's because there was no air in there to begin with. What happened to the alphas in here? It was then also here that we saw a hologram, where Ted Farrow is stood in the centre of the room. Ted tells the alphas that he didn't want the new generation of humans to take on their mistakes. He can't get it into his head around the fact that the same humans that messed up so bad are the ones giving the advice to the new humans, meaning that most likely this will happen again. Ted decides to completely purge Project Apollo, the project ongoing that passes down all information, technological advancements, and more to the new humans when they're put onto this Earth. And that's why Aloy, the Nora, and more are all so very primal. If Project Apollo was still a thing when they'd been put on the planet, they'd have known so much more, have so much more technology. But without Project Apollo, without all of this information to be passed down, they had to start from scratch. All of the oxygen inside this room was removed by Ted, killing everyone inside. All of the information, paperwork, and documents completely shredded and ripped up. It was back to square one for the new humans, and that's exactly where they were. As we get back to the ruins of Gaia, there stood Silence. He tells us that he feels that he should tell us more around him and why he was working with the Eclipse, as when we were saved by him, Helis knew exactly who he was. Silence was the one who originally found Hades, buried in the mountain, and he served it. Hades promised knowledge in exchange for Silence to help build an army, named the Eclipse. Hades wanted to know where the Spire was, the thing that was created by Gaia that could transmit the deactivation codes to the Pharaoh robots, shutting them all down, and also their biomatter conversion systems, killing them all off for good. However, Hades wants to wake all of the robots dormant and eliminate life all over again. Silence questioned Hades about his intentions at one stage, and when he was summoned to collect his reward for completing the Focus network, he heard on one of the focuses through a back door that Silence had implemented onto the Focus network that the Hades had ordered a kill order against Silence, and had been a fugitive ever since. Aloy needs to fit the Master Override onto the end of a spear and pierce the skull of Hades, essentially. The next part of the story is literally about 2 hours of gameplay, so I'm going to summarise it in around 30 seconds or so. Essentially, we return to Meridian and get the word that Erin's sister was never actually killed, but captured, and a replica body was used to trick us. We use our focus to find where she is and track down the camp, and then we find Erin's sister, and unfortunately she passed away at that point. However, there's a traitor in Meridian called Deval, and he's plotting an attack against the king, Avad. We find a house filled with many explosives, and we get rid of them, saving many lives in Meridian. However, we see Deval's men rushing through a secret entrance below the castle to try and get to Avad. So, we capture, and we kill him. However, Aloy tells Avad that Helis will attack soon, and it will bring an army of war machines, and of course, Hades as well. We must be prepared for it. Avad warns the people of Meridian, so that Aloy returns to her room and gets a good night's rest, reminiscing everything that she'd learnt along her journey, pondering how Elizabeth dealt with all of this knowledge before shutting her eyes.
Ma'am, there are signs from the west. Sun King Avad awaits you at the Temple of the Sun.
Aloy was awoken the next morning by a distressed guard. As she made her way onto the balcony, in the distance, the battle had already started. Machines forced their way through, destroying anything in their path, along with the Shadow Karja and Helis. We take Helis one-on-one, and we finally get the better of him this time. We try our best to defend Meridian, but it was just overrun far too quickly, setting the entire place alight. They march straight through the city with Hades right beside them, heading straight toward the spire. We sprint our way through, in hope to get there before Hades does, but it was too late.
It's begun. Hades is transmitting.
Hades gained control of the tower, resulting in all robots buried underground, ones that lay dormant, to rise once again, and cause nothing but destruction, killing anyone in their path. Harvesting anything bio-related for its fuel, Aloy needed to run and get up there fast. We finally weaken Hades enough to be able to purge the demon. So, that's exactly what Aloy does.
Master Override armed. To activate state name and rank.
Elizabeth Sobek. Alpha Prime.
Master Override activated. Purging Extinction Protocol.
Aloy had finally done it. The override had worked. Hades was gone. But it wasn't over just yet. There was still one more thing that Aloy needed to do.
Okay, Gaia. Sorry about that. Where was I?
You were telling a story.
Right. Yeah, so, like I was saying, it was a children's electronics kit, but I hacked the wiring to an auto battery and solar PV, so the grass caught fire. And, so did a tall pine that had stood there, I don't know, maybe 100 years.
Query. You were how old?
6. My mother was home, thank God. So she called the fire department, and after, she took me out to the lawn and showed me the dead baby birds, because there were nests in the pine tree.
Query, what did you feel?
I'm not sure. I remember yelling that I didn't care, and that's when my mother took my face in her hands and spoke.
Query, what did she say?
She said I had to care. She said, Elizabeth, being smart will count for nothing if you don't make the world better. You have to use your smarts to count for something. To serve life, not death.
You often tell stories of your mother, but you are childless.
I never had time. Guess it was for the best.
If you had had a child, Elizabeth, what would you have wished for him or her?
I guess I would have wanted her to be curious. And willful, unstoppable even. But with enough compassion to heal the world. Just a little bit. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, Gaia. Time to tuck in.
I wish you a pleasant sleep, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Although, our good old mysterious friend Silence was not completely out of the picture yet.
Friend, remember me? We've still so much to discuss, so much you never revealed. Your masters, for example, the ones who sent the signal that woke you. Knowledge has its rewards, don't you think? Well, let's begin.
And that's a retrospective story summary of Horizon Zero Dawn. I enjoyed every second of this game, even all of the years on, and I'm very much looking forward to trying Forbidden West for the first time next. As mentioned at the beginning, if you want to see any games in particular covered, doesn't matter how old they might be, but if they have a good storyline or are just interesting in general, I would love to go back and make a big series retrospectively looking at covering all of the stories between these new releases. If you've made it this far into the video, comment Hades down below just so I know that you guys have made it this far into the video and who has. Leave a like if you have enjoyed too, it'd be very much appreciated. Subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel, and well, we'll see you all next time.